Welcome to the Bite-Sized Tech News TLDR. We are coming out of the gate with an incredibly high level of energy today because, well, we're looking at a fundamental seismic shift in how every single one of us interacts with the internet.
Yeah, it really is a massive structural change.
It is. And look, I want to start this deep dive by asking you, the listener, a question. And I want you to be completely honest with yourself about your own personal browsing habits.
Right, the muscle memory.
Exactly, the muscle memory. How often over the last, say, 12 to 18 months do you find yourself typing a question into Google or whatever search bar you happen to use, and then immediately, almost as a reflex,
You just add the word Reddit to the very end of your query.
yes, you just tack it on to the end. If you are nodding your head right now as you listen to this, you are part of a massive silent majority. It
Absolutely.
has become this universal reflex for so many of us who are just, simply trying to find a real human answer.
A real answer, yeah. Not SEO spam.
Exactly. So today's deep dive is a rapid, strictly no-fluff analysis of Reddit's explosive transformation. We are looking at how a platform historically known as kind of a chaotic social forum.
Right, a place we basically categorized alongside standard social media feeds.
Yeah, exactly. How that exact platform has aggressively and successfully morphed into a genuine heavyweight search giant. Our mission today is to cut through all the noise and deliver the bottom line on what this actually means for you.
We are seeing a complete rewiring of user behavior here, and it is happening at a blistering pace.
It really is.
Our focus today is to strip away all the conversational filler and examine the real-world implications of this transformation. We are going to break down what this means for your daily productivity, how it completely upends modern digital marketing strategies, and fundamentally how you source trustworthy information in an increasingly noisy, AI-saturated digital world.
It's getting loud out there.
It is. This is not just an interesting piece of tech trivia, it is a structural change to the internet's architecture.
Okay, so I want to jump straight into the hard numbers because
Right.
the scale of this shift is, it's difficult to really comprehend without looking at the data.
The numbers are wild.
They are. Let's unpack the core statistic provided in the source material. 80 million.
80 million.
80 million people are now turning to Reddit for answers every single week.
Right.
This completely shatters the idea that adding Reddit to a search query is just a quirky habit of, power users or tech enthusiasts.
Yeah, it's not a niche thing anymore.
It's not. It is a massive flashing signal that something fundamental is breaking down in traditional search, and users are collectively moving to a completely new destination to find information.
And the sheer velocity of that migration is what should really command our attention here. We are not talking about a slow generational adoption curve that played out over the course of a decade.
No, not at all.
According to the data we are analyzing, in just one single year, Reddit jumped from 60 million weekly search users to 80 million.
That's a huge jump.
That is a 33% increase in 12 months. In the context of mature internet platforms, growing a specific user behavior by 33% at that scale is, well, it's almost unheard of.
Right.
It represents a massive psychological shift in how people actually view the utility of the platform.
I want to push on that psychological shift for a second because, look, a 33% jump in traffic could technically be attributed to a lot of different things, right?
Sure.
Is it possible that traditional search engines are just heavily indexing Reddit pages now, and this 80 million number is just a byproduct of people clicking whatever link happens to be at the top of their search results?
See, that's the logical assumption. But the source material is very clear that this is not accidental passive traffic.
Okay.
This isn't a scenario where a user searches for a product review on a traditional engine, blindly clicks the first result, which just happens to be a Reddit thread, reads it, and then immediately bounces back to the search engine.
They aren't just passing through.
Exactly. The data indicates an intentional, conscious behavioral shift. People are now deliberately choosing to start and finish their search journeys directly within the Reddit ecosystem.
Wow.
They are bypassing the traditional front doors of the internet, the standard search engines we have used for 2 decades, and they are going straight to the forum search bar.
That is fascinating.
They are deciding before they even type a single keystroke that the specific type of answer they need can only be found in a community-driven environment.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, right now? Especially if you are sitting at your desk trying to figure out your business strategy for the next quarter. We promised a bottom-line focus on productivity and strategy. If I'm a professional, why does this 80 million number keep me up at night?
For anyone in a strategic, marketing, or product development role, the implications are stark. It signals a massive shift in exactly where your target audiences are seeking their most vital pre-purchase information.
Right, the research phase.
Exactly. For years, entire marketing departments have been built around traditional search engine optimization. You optimize your corporate website to rank for specific keywords so that when someone searches for your industry, your landing page shows up.
The standard playbook.
The standard playbook. But if 80 million people are actively choosing to bypass traditional search entirely to find answers, and your company's only optimizing for that traditional search,
You're missing them entirely.
you are entirely missing the conversation. You are basically screaming into an empty room. Ignoring this new search destination is a massive strategic blind spot because your customers have literally moved the venue of their decision-making process.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because we have to ask the critical question of why. Why are 80 million people deliberately changing habits that have been ingrained in them since, what, the late 1990s?
Yeah, basically since the beginning of modern search.
Why is the traditional search engine suddenly failing them? The source material highlights a crucial distinction here between types of information. For example, if I need the official API documentation for a Stripe integration, a traditional search engine works perfectly. I type it in, and the sterile, factual corporate documentation is exactly what I get, and it's exactly what I want.
I would take that a step further and look at what happens when the query requires nuance, because factual retrieval is a solved problem on the internet.
Exactly.
But what happens when you don't just need the Stripe API documentation, but you need to know why that specific API integration keeps timing out on your AWS Lambda setup?
Right, because the official docs won't tell you that.
No, they won't.
Yeah.
You do not want the sterilized corporate troubleshooting guide that just tells you to restart your router or check your firewall.
Not fully.
Never. You want the digital footprint of the developer who spent 14 hours debugging that exact same obscure error last Tuesday.
Yeah.
You want human experience.
That makes perfect sense. It's the difference between looking up the official technical specs of a brand new server rack on a corporate website versus reading a passionate, completely unfiltered debate from a dozen sysadmins who've actually installed it, use it daily, and can tell you exactly which components fail under a heavy load.
Yes.
You just cannot get that from a spec sheet.
You can't. And in marketing terminology, that specific search behavior represents a highly coveted concept known as a high-intent moment.
A high-intent moment. Let's break that down.
This is the critical juncture when you, as a user, are no longer just passively browsing. You are not doom scrolling for entertainment, and you are not doing casual top-of-the-funnel research.
You are ready to pull the trigger.
You are actively trying to make a final decision. You are trying to figure out what enterprise software to license, what framework to use for your next coding project, or even something as personal as which espresso machine is actually worth $1,000 of your hard-earned money.
And when you are in that high-intent moment, your tolerance for polished marketing speak drops to absolute zero.
Zero.
You don't want a sanitized brochure or a search results page filled with sponsored content and those weird affiliate link blogs that all somehow say the exact same thing.
No, you are seeking peer validation. You want the messy, honest, human reality of the product or service. You want to see the arguments, the dissenting opinions, and the raw consensus of a specialized community.
Right.
The sources indicate that Reddit is actively and successfully positioning itself as the premier go-to destination for those exact high-intent moments.
And that is why the bottom line for brands is so incredibly urgent here.
Yes.
If you are a professional trying to reach consumers or other businesses, and you are not actively monitoring or participating in the localized conversations happening within these niche communities, you are becoming invisible at the exact moment the final purchase or adoption decision is being made.
That phrase from the analysis is a huge warning label for professionals. You are becoming invisible. If the debate over which cloud storage solution to adopt is happening among thousands of users on a dedicated, highly technical subreddit, and your enterprise brand isn't even mentioned, or worse, is being critiqued without you having any awareness of it.
You've lost.
You have lost the customer before they ever even had a chance to reach your beautifully optimized landing page.
It is a direct, unavoidable call to action. The transition from a social forum to a search giant means Reddit is now a vital marketplace of opinions that directly drives commerce and professional choices.
The traditional funnel is breaking down. Users are doing their deep diligence in a peer-to-peer environment, and if your strategy doesn't account for that, your strategy is outdated.
Look, I want to pivot to the actual mechanics of this,
Yeah.
because anyone who has used Reddit for a long time knows that, historically, searching a forum with millions of rambling, unstructured threads is an absolute productivity nightmare.
Oh, it was terrible.
We've all experienced the agony of digging through a highly fragmented 10-year-old forum post trying to find one specific answer buried on page 47.
Right.
It is tedious. It is not efficient. So how are they actually retaining these 80 million weekly searchers? Because people today just don't have the patience for that kind of friction anymore.
They don't. And the historical friction of forum search is exactly what they have set out to solve. The sources highlight a massive technological catalyst driving this transformation. They have deployed a proprietary system called Reddit Answers.
Reddit Answers.
The platform obviously possesses an immense treasure trove of human data, decades of localized, highly specific knowledge, but surfacing the right data at the right time in a digestible format has always been the bottleneck.
Right, finding the needle in the haystack.
Exactly. Reddit Answers solves this by acting as an intelligent synthesis engine powered by large language models.
Okay, let's really unpack the technology behind this, because when I hear AI summary, I immediately think of the generic, sometimes hallucinatory summaries we see popping up all over the web on other search engines.
Yeah, the ones that tell you to put glue on your pizza.
Exactly. So how is Reddit actually doing this differently? What is the mechanism that takes thousands of messy, sarcastic, often contradictory comments and turns them into something actually useful for a professional doing research?
The underlying architecture relies on a concept called retrieval augmented generation, or array.
Array.
When you type a query into the Reddit search bar, the system doesn't just look for keyword matches. It retrieves the most relevant threads, but then the AI has to perform a highly complex weighting process.
Okay.
It doesn't treat every single comment equally. It has to look at the upvote to downvote ratio. It has to analyze the user flair, meaning, is the person commenting a verified expert in that specific community?
That's a huge distinction.
It is.
Yeah.
And crucially, it has to filter out the platform's famous penchant for sarcasm and inside jokes. The AI analyzes the sprawling web of community discourse and generates a rapid, easily digestible consensus summary. And then it places that summary directly at the very top of your search results.
So you are getting this incredibly fast, highly efficient executive summary, but it sits directly above the raw, unfiltered human opinions that actually sourced it.
Yes.
You are getting the speed of modern AI, but it is deeply tethered to the messy authenticity of real human debate. It essentially gives you the answer and then immediately provides the receipt so you can verify the context for yourself.
And the data on user adoption for this specific feature is staggering. The statistics from our source materials show that in just 1 year, queries utilizing the Reddit Answers feature shot up from around 1 million to 15 million.
15 million.
That is a 15-fold increase in utilization. This isn't just a minor UI tweak or some experimental side project tucked away in an advanced settings menu. This AI synthesis is the rocket fuel propelling their entire transition into a search-first platform.
Going from 1 million to 15 million queries in a year absolutely proves that users are finding tangible, immediate value in it.
Without a doubt.
So, let's bring this back to you, the listener. What does this specific AI synthesis tool mean for your day-to-day productivity? If I'm a project manager or a developer, how does this actually change my workflow right now?
The productivity impact is profound, specifically when you are dealing with complex multivariable questions. Think about the "what should I" scenarios.
Okay.
What project management software should our remote team adopt? What specific marketing stack integrates best with our legacy CRM? Historically, getting a genuine, unbiased consensus on those questions meant hours of research.
Yeah, endless tabs open.
You had to sift through hundreds of individual comments across dozens of threads, manually weigh the credibility of the authors, mentally filter out all the noise and the trolls. Now the AI performs that heavy lifting instantly.
That is a game changer.
It accelerates your research phase exponentially. You receive the speed of an executive summary, but it is backed by what this source beautifully describes as having 100 of your smartest friends ready to give their honest take. It perfectly bridges the gap between raw computational speed and verifiable human trust.
It really is the ultimate productivity hack for decision-making.
Yeah.
You get the bottom line instantly, eliminating hours of scrolling, but you retain the complete ability to dive deep into the specific arguments if a particular point catches your eye.
Exactly.
But here's where the story spills over its own borders, and this specific detail from the source material is absolutely fascinating. We've spent all this time talking about how users are migrating to Reddit,
Right.
but Reddit CEO Steve Huffman recently revealed a crucial insight about Reddit's influence outside of its own platform. He noted that Reddit is now the most cited source in the answers provided by other major AI tools across the internet.
And this development is arguably the most strategic and impactful part of their entire corporate evolution. Yes, if we analyze the mechanics of this, it forms a brilliantly constructed, almost invisible funnel that feeds their ecosystem. To understand how this works, you have to look at the recent data licensing agreements Reddit has signed with major AI developers like Google and OpenAI.
The data deals.
Right. They are allowing these external large language models to train on and access their real-time data API.
Okay, so let's trace this user journey from the perspective of someone who isn't even trying to use Reddit. Let's say I go to an external AI chatbot like Perplexity or ChatGPT, and I ask a really complex question about the best practices for migrating a database.
Okay.
The external AI generates a comprehensive answer for me. But because of these data licensing deals, at the bottom of that answer, there is a citation footnote pointing directly to a Reddit thread where that information was sourced.
And that is exactly where human psychology takes over. An AI summary is great, but human curiosity inherently seeks context, especially for high-stakes decisions like database migration. You want more detail? You want to see the specific code snippet that was referenced? Or you simply want to verify if the AI actually interpreted the human debate correctly. So what do? You click the citation link.
And boom.
In that exact millisecond, you are transported out of the isolated, sterile environment of the AI chatbot and directly into the Reddit platform.
And suddenly the entire experience changes. You are no longer just a passive searcher reading an AI output in a vacuum. You are dropped right into the middle of an active, vibrant human debate.
You see the context.
You see the upvotes, you see the downvotes, you see the expert counterarguments and the detailed edge cases that the AI might have just completely smoothed over in its summary. You transition instantly from passive consumption of data to active participation in a community.
It is a masterclass in funnel design. They are leveraging the explosive rise of external AI tools not as an existential threat to their traffic, which is how a lot of publishers view it, but as massive, globally distributed lead generation channels.
That is brilliant.
These external AIs are doing the work of pulling massive amounts of new, highly targeted traffic directly into Reddit's localized communities, and this strategy completely aligns with their ultimate corporate vision. The source material explicitly mentions that Reddit's stated goal is to become an end-to-end search destination.
An end-to-end search destination, meaning they're no longer satisfied with just being a blue link that you occasionally click on a Google search results page.
No.
They want to own the entire pipeline. They want to be the starting line where you first enter your query and the finish line where you actually make your final decision.
They are actively trying to redefine what a search engine is for a massive segment of the internet population. They don't want to be a stop along the way. They want to encompass the entire journey of discovery, deep research, peer validation, and final decision.
Right.
And they are not just talking about this in board meetings. They are making physical, structural changes to their platform to manifest this reality.
Yeah, the sources note that they are putting significant engineering resources behind this vision right now. They are currently overhauling their mobile app and testing completely new layouts. And the centerpiece of this redesign,
The search bar.
a large, permanent, unmissable search bar placed front and center as the main feature. They're literally rebuilding the platform's visual identity to scream to the user, we are a search engine first and foremost.
When a technology platform fundamentally alters its user interface to prioritize a specific action, it tells you everything you need to know about their strategic direction and their internal metrics.
Follows function.
Exactly. The core identity of Reddit is shifting. It is moving away from being a passive feed that you scroll for entertainment, and it is hardening into a database that you actively query for knowledge. The permanent search bar is the physical manifestation of that strategy.
So if we zoom out and look at the broader internet landscape, what does this all mean for the concept of search as we know it? We have covered the massive user growth, the implementation of RAG AI synthesis, the external data licensing funnel, and the UX redesign.
Right.
If we put all these pieces together, what is the ultimate conclusion here?
Synthesizing all of the source material points to a major, undeniable paradigm shift. We are very likely witnessing the end of the universal one-size-fits-all search engine era.
The end of the monolith.
For over 2 decades, the fundamental assumption of the internet was that one single entry point, governed by one monolithic algorithm, could effectively and accurately answer every conceivable type of query.
Right, whether you were finding a local pizza place, researching quantum physics, or deciding what enterprise software to buy, the assumption was that you went to one single place.
The idea that one giant algorithm could rule them all and that a single interface was the best way to interact with the entirety of human knowledge.
But that's breaking.
The data we've analyzed today suggests that model is actively fracturing. The internet is moving toward a future defined by specialized, community-driven destinations for knowledge.
Okay.
If Reddit has successfully claimed the territory for the high-intent human experience questions, the "what should I buy?", "how do I fix this complex problem?" or "what is the consensus on this new strategy?" queries, then the very definition of a search engine is fundamentally up for grabs.
Right.
Users are realizing that different types of questions require fundamentally different types of search environments, and the one-size-fits-all model is just no longer sufficient.
That is a staggering shift in how we think about the architecture of the internet.
Yeah.
And look, we promised you a rapid, bottom-line deep dive today, so let's land this plane and summarize the actionable intelligence.
The takeaways.
Here are the 3 most important takeaways from today's sources. Number 1, the intentional shift. 80 million weekly users are actively and intentionally bypassing traditional search engines to seek out raw, human perspectives directly on Reddit. This is a conscious change in user behavior of 33% in just 1 year, signaling a massive demand for peer validation over sanitized corporate information.
A huge strategic pivot for brands.
Number 2, the AI catalyst. The proprietary feature Reddit Answers is supercharging the search behavior. By perfectly merging fast, RG-powered AI efficiency with authentic human opinions, it has grown from 1 million to 15 million queries in just a year.
It's the rocket fuel.
It acts as the rocket fuel for their search dominance, drastically reducing research time for professionals. And finally, number 3, the new funnel.
The invisible funnel.
Yes, by licensing their data and positioning themselves as the most cited source in external AI tools, Reddit has built an invisible funnel. This strategy seamlessly converts passive searchers across the internet into active community participants on their platform, solidifying their goal to become an end-to-end search destination.
Those are the core structural facts you need to understand to navigate this transition and how information is sourced and verified online.
And before we close out, we want to remind you directly, make sure to check out the Tech News TLDR YouTube channel for our daily video updates to stay ahead of the curve. We bring this exact same focus on the bottom line and rapid analysis to video every single day, keeping you updated on the tools and trends impacting your productivity.
And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
We've established that for complex consumer and technical decisions, specialized, community-driven platforms are aggressively replacing the one-size-fits-all search engine. So looking ahead at your own career and workflow, what emerging platforms are poised to become the new, specialized search destinations for your specific professional industry?
That is a brilliant question to end on and something every professional needs to be thinking about right now. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. We will catch you next time.